Josh, how's it going?
Good, good, good.
Good.
Glad to be here. Glad to meet
Glad
you
to
guys.
Yeah, glad to have
Right
you.
on.
I know we're in one creators group on Instagram, so I've followed you for a while and seen your posts, and it's nice to actually put a face to an Instagram handle.
Yeah, it's a little hard too when you have a group of 10 or so plus people that are varying. I think we've actually got up to like 15 that come in and out now.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
there's a
it
lot of
happens. Yeah, it happens when you're around for a little while. We've been doing our MetaGaming podcast for this October. I think will be our 5th year moving up to.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. We're real newbies then. This is our first out of 6 months we've been doing this, maybe, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a lot of questions for you then.
Yeah.
You
So
can
we're just
teach us
we're
some things.
yeah, you're the pro here. You can school us on how to have a podcast, successful podcast.
Well, I don't know about the successful part, but I can help you with some of the logistics, maybe.
That's true. We'll take that. Is this it's been you said 5 years?
Yep. Yeah. It's been varying groups of people that move in and out. There's been a few steadfast and true that have made it through. And it was built on the hopes and dreams of my first introduction to D&D, which was always the only limitation is your own imagination. So I started off big with that because my imagination can be quite vast, being the goal for the party to become gods. So that's been what's the fuel that's been keeping us going this long as well. That I think we've gotten a good amount of great cast and crew that just have a blast at the table, which is the whole point in D&D.
That's so important, right? If you don't have players at your table that are excited and enthusiastic about playing and playing with each other, then you're kind of lost.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
incredible. Well, let's do kind of an official introduction to you, Josh. I know Jonathan and I chatted with you a few minutes before we hit record, but welcome to another episode of Legends of the Tabletop Parking Lot podcast. My name is Sarah, and you know Jonathan. Today we are joined with Josh Langsdorff. He is the sole proprietor, the guru, the rum maker, the distiller behind RPG Distillery in Raylan, Ohio. And he does a lot of other things too that we're going to talk about. So, Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is what I live for. I mean, just chatting with and making new friends. That's what it's all about.
That's what us nerds do. Do you like Dungeons and Dragons? Me too. Do you want to talk about it? Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah, tell me about your world. Tell me about your character. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about your campaign, and Jonathan mentioned that we're kind of new to D&D, I guess you can say. We started our adventures during the very beginning of the pandemic. My cousin had a campaign going and generously invited Jonathan and I to join him and his friends who've been doing it since they're pretty much in Pampers. But tell us a little bit about your podcast that you have, your group, and where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. So metagaming, it's actually and everybody's kind of in the group has been suspecting that that's coming to a close because the big we're reaching our 5 year, I think I'd said there, as well as that as it goes, I'd kind of alluded to the fact one of the ways you can become a god is reaching level 20. And I've done the thing that everyone said not to do in the very beginning, which is record experience points. So I've been recording experience points for all the players for all their different
Yeah.
actions, adding different things, that's been actually entertaining too because then they can. I've opened it up to them to say, yeah, come back to me if there's something that you felt like you should have got some XP for. I might have missed it. There's a lot going on, so feel free. And then we have these discussions of like, yeah, you remember when I did that? And I was like, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's add that in there. And it's grown organically just from that idea I was saying in the beginning of how to become a god, and there's no one way to do that. So we've just been building on that over many different characters and over a lot of time, and as they explore the world, which I've also been organically creating at the same time instead of having this set idea of a world and saying these are the things that are going on here. I've been letting them explore because some of the players too, like you guys are have at your table, they're veteran players, but then the other half have never played before. So it kind of gives them both a way to get into the world by sometimes the veteran players especially really like bringing a character from somewhere else and bringing it into my world. And so they'll have their whole backstory and a whole bunch of reasons for why they are from their other world. And now they've landed on my planet of Tarith, and they don't know too much about what's going on there. So now it gives them something to explore from that side of things too. I don't. You can stop me. I feel like I'm
Oh
gotten
no.
to a certain
Oh,
point
you're
now.
right.
Ramble on. Ramble on. I think
Uh,
the exploring is the exciting part. So absolutely, I love doing that for myself as a player.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean, besides being open to a lot of freedom, that's one of the big things that I've always been sold on is that it's the limit of your imagination. So, whereas everything else we play, board games and video games, they have these set rules and boxes that you have to do things a certain way, as opposed to if you're just sitting at the table one night and you set up this puzzle and you thought it was going to be this solution, but another character comes along and says, hey, you know what? It's instead of pulling that lever, what if I just broke down the wall around the lever, you know? So, and that's the kind of stuff I live for. I mean, for the creative solutions.
Are you the DM or are you a
Oh
player?
yes, sorry. I am the DM. I am the all the NPCs, all the gods, all the pieces and parts of the world for Tarith. And I'm as scrambled
Love,
as my brain is right now with it too, so
love that as a DM, you look forward to your players solving something in a different way because you create problems for your players to solve and you have like your own thought process of how it should probably go. I like that you're like, oh yeah, I like that
Mhm.
you tore the wall down instead of pull the lever because when I'm doing it, I'm like, no, pull the lever. No, I gave you every
Yeah.
clue you need to just do the thing. It's not, I can't make this more simple. And they're like, yeah, let's just burn down the house. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess we're burning down the house.
yeah, yeah. My biggest advice to most that are starting out, and I don't know if it's just my personality or not, but I've always felt because I was built on that idea that I can do whatever I want in this world, that that I want to see those creative solutions. So I like just like you said, I build a problem, and then I wait to see what happens.
Yeah, we've definitely. I think Jonathan, we one of our sessions, I don't know what happened. I don't think it was a fireball, but it was something happened in a room, and we actually wound up scorching everything, including some papers that we like desperately needed that were in a desk drawer. Do you remember? And it was like,
I think you
whoop,
did just, yeah, I think someone cast a fireball. Which I mean,
something.
hey, you're a wizard, you have it, it's in your arsenal.
Whoopsies.
And
Yeah,
you burned all the papers in the room that would have helped you solve the thing. But we make we live and learn.
that's what you do as the DM, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I I don't know how you do it.
With
So
a
you said
smile, a laugh, and a wave.
yeah, although I have to say when the DM starts laughing, I genuinely do not trust that. If it's a smirk or a laugh, I always think that there's something sketchy going on the other side of that DM screen.
There is.
It
Yeah.
is always. So we
Yeah.
gotta gotta have some thought for the next thing, because
Are
if
you
you
is
if
it that
like
you're
go ahead.
is it that you're laughing at players or is it
Oh
something
no.
diabolical or you're just laughing because you're really crying inside because we've completely thrown whatever you're doing off the rails?
It can be something of that, but it generally turns into almost immediately just enjoying and joining in with the players because really all any good DM wants is for their players to succeed. I mean,
Yeah.
we just so when you're casting fireball in that room and you burn the papers, we're laughing because we're like, I gotta find a place to put those, or somebody that's important enough that you'll be interested in later.
Right. Yeah, you idiots. Thanks a lot. Now I have to do some quick work inside my brain. Yeah.
Yeah,
You said
My
you could.
smirks a lot of the time are I've missed something, especially in combat. I remember we were doing one combat and like I had this plan going into it and I just didn't execute it. And like 75% through the combat, I was like, I have legendary actions. I have not used it once. That's why you are kicking my ass through this fight. And I just haven't realized that I haven't done the thing I was supposed to do. And then I smirk and everyone's like, oh, he's going to do something to us. I'm like, no, I'm
I,
terrible at DMing.
yeah, I screwed up and it's hilarious, but it's
And we
no,
don't know
I'm
it.
with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes on behind that DM screen for sure, and you're not wrong to question what's what it is. But usually it's all good things. But it
Yeah.
is fun to see and play with your players a little bit. Yeah, they're totally doing fine. Everything's okay. Add a little bit of that suspense and that to build it
Yeah.
up for later.
You really have the power to mess with our heads because we have no idea what's going on behind that screen, but we think it's all slightly nefarious.
Love
Yep.
the name metagaming.
Mm.
Do you Are you opposed to your players metagaming? Is that like a play on this is the thing you're not supposed to do, or are you like, you know what? We're all human. We're gonna think through.
I purposely chose it for that aspect of it, and because in my mind at least, um there's a lot of reasons. I love coming with names that have a slew of reasons, so I might be here all night talking about all the different reasons, but I think now at this time, because it always changes to exactly what it means to me, but right now it means kind of this idea of the players getting to that level of being a god, right? And now they're going to be on a level where there is only metagaming, right? Where you are sitting at this pinnacle and you're looking over the battlefield, so to say, and you're the god entity that's making these choices. And it's kind of fun play on the fact too, one of the things that's organically happened. So the way the campaign is structured right now, we have a good campaign and an evil campaign, and we play them on alternating weeks. So one good, one evil, one good, one evil, and we're spread out everywhere. I've got a few friends nearby, but I've got friends also in Indiana and all the way to Denver playing Colorado,
Mhm.
New York now, and there there were some that jumped on for a while from California, and it's just there was no good way for us to sit down at a table all together, but we tried and we planned for once, maybe twice a year that we have time in our schedules to actually come together somewhere. And so I created a third campaign for that, which is called Eurythmic Veracity. And it is uh, kind of the balance of the other two. So you've got now good, evil, and the neutral. And whenever we come together and play all together, all of the players meet in this like out of body experience with their other players. And it's been real interesting, some of the stuff that happens there. I also find it entertaining because we don't record any of those sessions, so we talk about it on the podcast a lot. But all of the only the good and evil is recorded, so there we might talk about something that none of the people that are listening know what's going on, which is kind of a wait, they're metagaming us a little bit
I
by
like that.
taking it out of the fourth wall and putting it somewhere you don't even know where it's at.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it's impressive that you have so many people from all different areas of the country too. We just recorded a podcast with someone that has recently written a book and it'll be published in October, but she's also been in a campaign herself and they have people all over. And it's difficult enough to get a group together that are in your local area. I mean, everyone that plays on our table is all within an hour of where our studio is, and sometimes that can be difficult. And I can't imagine having a campaign that's been going on for 5 years and having rotating people from all these different states and time zones.
Yeah, yeah, the time zones are wild. We were always getting on and like, wait, what time is it there? But
Right.
it's worked out,
Central time,
luckily.
Eastern time, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. What have you enjoyed the most about that campaign? Like, have there been any moments that are just like, wow, that was great. Like an
Probably
adventure or a fight or something.
it's probably that is a hard question. The most um
One of the most, then.
yeah,
'Cause I mean, out of 5 years, there's probably been so many memories like that
oh,
you've
so
that you've
many.
made, inside jokes, all of it.
Um inside jokes, I like where that direction is going a little bit because I don't know if because ag- again we've been I guess I hadn't explained this in the very beginning because I'd actually started recording knowing that not a lot of people aren't going to listen to this. There's so many other options out there. I
Yeah.
don't have time to make this exactly for every listener that could be out
Mhm.
there and enjoy it on a regular every so I've just been recording completely actual play for the most part. If I edit something out, it's usually just because there's like a detail that somebody's like, "Hey, I don't want to share that." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I'll
Yeah.
take that out." And that's at most of what we've been editing. So it's been recording from the beginning as a posterity more for us. It's like, what happened last session? I don't know. Let's go listen to the podcast. And
That's brilliant.
um, because of that, I know there's certain things that we have not explained to listeners 100%. There's just, and if there's something especially long-standing is what we do is we curse Craig, who is the recording bot that comes in our session before, and he's just, no recording. And it just became a thing because we were all talking to each other, and usually I'd hit record, and then he would jump in, and then we'd just like, screw you, Craig, like, you're interrupting my conversation. But now it's become this whole thing that we've been carrying on for at least the past 3 years, where every
That's
recording
great.
session begins with, screw you, Craig.
That's great. I like it. I
Yeah.
like that you were kind of just doing it for posterity. Like this is our thing. We're recording it. There are so many times when we go into a session, especially if there's been a lapse and you're looking through your notes, but you're still like, what did we do last time? Was that this session or was that 2 sessions before it? Like, are we here in this town? Yeah, that's brilliant that you did that.
Yeah, it's very helpful, especially because some of the characters, and it sounds like you guys have had some to go on and off the table, right? And so there's things right now, especially there's only two characters right now that have any idea the deal that was set up for this cult that I've dubbed the PNC, the Professional Necromancy Cult, and they they'd set a deal with the good players. This is on the good campaign, and they were going to go beat the big bad, of this cult. They made it up to the top of his tower through 4 or 5 levels up there. He comes summoned as this Lich King, more or less, and it's pretty evident because he's a giant skeleton. And they turn immediately after they defeat some of its minions, most of his minions, and he's like, "Who summoned me?" And they just like look at each other all, and they're like, "We did. We're here to join your cult." Instead of trying to fight him. And they talked their way out of it. Let it happen. It was great. It was an awesome session. Um, Fast forward a couple years later, after real time, in session time, it's maybe been 6 months, which give a professional necromancy cult 6 months.
Oh god.
They're coming. And then you started a contract with them that said you're going to help them out. And some of these players, like I said, that are just joining, are like, I didn't sign this. And it's like, well, by proxy, you're part of the group.
Yeah.
You now have to deal with this problem that we've let linger.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's another really good example. But
There's always
uh,
a few players that don't necessarily want to do what the rest of the group does, but we're here.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
we're doing it together.
think
How
that's
about
one of
you?
the most interesting parts of a D&D table is, who becomes the defunct leader and who imposes their will the most on the other players and see who will follow along. And then you get those moments where somebody gives the actual pushback and like, I kind of don't want to do this thing. And it's nice as a DM to sit back and just watch that play out.
It is. That is gotta be one of the most relaxing times in our lives. Because we just
When
sit
we're
there and
just
watch the
arguing
chaos.
amongst ourselves. All these murder
Yeah.
hobos,
True. Mhm.
exactly. It's working just as I planned. Yeah, that does happen once in a while.
How about you guys? What are some of your favorite moments over the past while now that you've started the
Yeah, because we're in episode our current campaign is on a pause right now, but that was episode 14, I think, Jonathan.
Something around there, yeah.
And then we have our secondary campaign that we're calling an anthology that Jonathan's been writing with one of his friends forever. Off the top of my head, I don't know what episode of the anthology we're in that. I think we haven't been numbering them, we've just been
No,
naming
we weren't
them.
those.
Um Novamir, though, the world that we are adventuring in now, there's been a few great moments. I think the moments are the areas that we're in and all of the thought and creative writing that went into the world that we're in and the towns and the characters. There's a lot of detail for like the characters in each of the shops that you go in. But I think for me, there's a few players that are on our table that are just so over the top. And the things that they say are so unexpected for the situations. And sometimes it could be really bad, or it could work out really well, but not knowing what they're going to say in these situations is really part of the enjoyment of sitting on the table with some of these other players. Like
I get that. I
they're
mean,
just wild.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's one of the probably defining characteristics I would say of D&D that you never know what's going to happen.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
For me, and I think it's a lot of the unexpected, right? Like this one time we were in like our huge boss fight, fighting a hag, and one of our players went down during the fight, and you're just like, okay, like you're expecting the cleric to pick them up, and then I went down in the fight, and metagaming, I'm like, well, the other guy's been down for a round already and failed the death save, so he was the higher priority. But the backstory in the actual gameplay was that like I was siblings with the cleric, and the cleric went and got me first, and that blew my mind
That
because
was a
like
good
we
episode.
one of our players out to dry because they could have died on a nat one death saving, and they're
Right.
like, yeah, but character would save their sibling before they save just
Mhm.
another adventurer, and I was like, that's absolutely phenomenal gameplay right there, because
Yeah.
you're not doing the thing that's mathematically correct.
Mm.
You're doing the thing character that's correct. That stayed to me. I
That
love that.
no,
Yeah.
that is a great moment. I love that too. Interestingly, because I've opened that door towards metagaming, there are some characters that will lean towards it, but others that just don't even interact with it. And
Mhm.
either is great because again, I'm just trying to create a fun atmosphere for everybody that's going to be able to enjoy playing at my table.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what whatever makes them feel comfortable in how they want to play their characters and gameplay, because there's definitely times that they're like, this is the smart thing to do, but I know my character wouldn't do this, so I'm just not gonna do that
Yep.
smart thing.
That's really hard to do. If you're
It
sitting
is.
there and, Jonathan or Sarah, Josh, as the person is like, ugh, strategically, this might be the best thing for me to do. But then it's like, is that what my players actually like? Would my player actually do this?
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, for myself, for certain characters, it's been a struggle because I'm like, I know probably what I should do or what this person might want me to do, but my character would not, that is not who they are.
It's an interesting thing that I forgot to explain too about the eurythmic veracity. We brought it up a few times in the podcast for sure, which is when I said all of the characters, I make everyone create a character for themselves. And it's got to be human because we're all humans here, unfortunately. But then you can choose your class based upon, some of the skills that you might be closely adjacent to in your everyday life, is kind of how I based it. And that was the only rules that I gave for them to create this character for themselves. But that character has all of their memories and all of the past experience of their life and everything, that their backstory. And so now, usually what I do is I put them in a white room first, especially for people that haven't started out. So this is a little bit of behind the scenes. What happens when you don't hear about it is that the character from the good and the evil and themselves all appear in a white room. Nothing's explained. They just appear there, and all of their memories get exchanged. And then I go, "What do you do?"
What do you do?
Yeah, half of them have realized, because of the memory exchange, that wait, am I a character in their game and they've gave me this backstory? I'm going to murder you, you know? um, Others have taken it and gone, well, I get it. Your life is what it is. We got to get along somehow, and we got to use the time the wisely as we can, and they start to build from there. Or my my favorite, because it's the only love story we've had, surprisingly, and it's the character that hasn't played with us, unfortunately, but he played Flint and Hamilton, which are kind of based off of, if you know those names, any Black Flag characters. Um, and he loves pirates. He's just obsessed. And
Nice.
so when they met for the first time, they were always star-crossed lovers that had just been separated for a really long time, and they thought each other were both dead, and they come back together and they go, and it's just instantly like, we got to figure out how to get back together. and and his character that he made for himself, he's like, yeah, let's do this. So it's
Finally,
always,
finally we meet.
yeah, it's always interesting to see how that scene plays out for it, because it's different every time, and it's so simple.
That's kind of wild.
Plays into the metagaming though.
Yeah. It's you said you've had upwards to 10. Now, do you play consistently with that number, or is just interchanging like 3 or 4 people, but it's, 10 people over a long period of time?
The usual number sits around 6, I would say, regularly. Um, but we've had quite a few sessions that 2 can consecutively be up to 10 characters in a session, which definitely
That's a lot.
definitely is a lot of, hey, what do you think about that, as a DM, trying to get
Yeah.
everybody to pull them back into the game so that they're not s- starting to turtle, for
Yeah,
lack of a
absolutely.
better term.
Hmm.
So
But
as a DM, how do you mechanically pull them in and out of sessions if they're not consistent players?
great question. I've played with it on several different levels, because in the beginning I'd always wanted it to be kind of consistent and have a reason for it. But as I grew in playing as a DM as well too, I felt like I didn't want to have to keep forcing this, like, on players that were like, oh, this came up in life and I have to go do this, because like I get it. I understand. I'm
Hmm.
not mad at all. Um, and I want you to go do those things because we're alive and we need to do things. um, but so at first I was trying to come up with these reasons, and there would be like, oh, this person got sick, so they spent the whole session while we were doing this in the
Right.
restroom the whole time, or like or like oh, my long lost friend came to town and we needed to catch up, so we went out and we grabbed a few drinks while the party was doing this, just any reason that I could scramble for to come up with. Or sometimes too, a lot of it, I would create these little mini sessions inside of the session and be like, "What were you doing while everybody else was doing that?" And then we just do a little thing where they go and they're like explaining what they had been doing for a while, whether it's a small little combat or the encounter, or um, exploring a place that nobody else had explored and found this thing, and they're like, "Hey guys, I'm back. I got this thing." um,
I like that.
yeah, it was really nice when it was working, but I felt like again that it stopped working because it just over 5 years it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of
Yeah.
it, the matter of the situation. So um I'd kind of come up with this other thing that had started to happen where players would just sleep during a session and they'd be like, "Oh, that was a nice nap." They'd come back in like maybe a session or two later and it's like, "What did you guys do?"
Right.
um which is the easiest way that I could find to do it to make it make canonical sense most of the time, especially after
Mhm.
at that point what had happened was they'd both campaigns had basically gotten a safe place that they were able to call their own. One was the ship Adune, a sentient ship that they found that they put in a bottle to take with them on their adventures, and then they could find that they could get into the bottle with Adune, hang out, and be safe.
That's cool.
Um, and then the other one, they decided to dub the Pocket Rocket because it's the evil campaign, I guess, and it was just a rock, and it was a witch that had been messing around with subdimensional space, and it was like I got mad at putting some of my plants inside of like dimensional storage and they were dying, so I came up with this way to preserve them. Here you go, as a reward for what you helped me out with.
I like that.
um
You have to be really creative with those things. Like one of our DM for our campaign, one of our characters couldn't make it to a few sessions, and I thought it was brilliant how he wrote it in because in our timeline we didn't realize that if we had been missing for, I think it was 5 years, Jonathan, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And the character came back at the next session when he was there, the player was there, and the DM wrote it so we had disappeared in this other plane for like 5 years, and he had to be in our world by himself without us, and all these other things transpired in those 5 years, and we spent the session just, like, first of all, rejoicing that, like, we had all found each other, and then in shock that we were gone for 5 years, and then it was nice to be able to hear his side of the story, like, while we had played those several sessions without him, what was occurring in our world that we went missing from, and I thought that was really a cool storyline and a really nice way to, like, bring a player back in and to have their own little kind of like a side quest adventure, and I thought it was a good session for us to just sit and have all these conversations amongst each other, and the DM could kind of just sit back and allow it to happen.
no, I love that. That is that's some things that I plan to play with in the future, is some of those big time jumps, especially once they get to that godhood level. um and the last thing that I finally came up with too as a final solution, because they've gotten so high up now too, some of the latest playings are now up into, I think I've got one at level 19
Wow.
right now. Yeah.
It's like a
And
dream of mine. One
it's
day.
like she's like right on the precipice of 20 basically. And so because they're so high level, one of the things that's come into play is that they've become so integral to the world now that when they're not there, their player characters stop existing. And it's to the point where like even the people that are playing in that session um forget that they exist. Like that's how I
Mm.
wrote it. And when they come back in, they poof back in. They're like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, right. This person exists. I need to explain to them what's happened." So
That's
that's the
great.
last final solution that I've come up with that makes it as fluid as possible, because they're just always throwing something at me, or some folks are like, "I want to play, but I don't have time. and at the same time, I don't want you to get rid of my character, but I don't want to also write him off because I might come back. And I'm like, I get it. So this is how we're gonna handle it.
Yeah, I like that. I have a folder full of characters that I kind of play every once in a while if I need to like jump in a game, and I'm really grateful that haven't had to kill any of those, or none of them have died in sessions, because I really like all of them individually, and it's kind of fun to be like, hey, we kind of need like a rogue for this, or we kind of need this for this one shot, and I'm like, ooh, I have a character for that, so that's cool. But
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about your, unless Jonathan, you have another question about.
Oh, you go right ahead.
I
Yeah.
just I kind of want to know about this rum business that we
Yeah.
have here, the distillery. Like, I'm excited. Because it definitely ties into Dungeons and Dragons and the name and everything. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your adventure here?
Yeah, yeah. So I'd started an adventure myself in real life about let's see here. I will say almost in time with some of the sessions and such too, because um the thing that I guess I have to explain first a little bit with that is that you have to learn how to do some of this stuff, obviously. So it's been on 5 years that I've been teaching myself how to distill. But it's been since 2024 since I'd actually committed to the idea that because I was making some stuff to learn how to do it and would bring to the D&D, and we'd try this, try that, tell me what's good, what's not. And now in 2024, I was like, I'm going to scale up. I'm going to make this thing bigger and legit because
Stop making it
I
in your tub.
Hey, it's the toilet. It was clean. It was good, I promise.
It was in the guest bathroom, and it never gets used.
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
That's fine. It's alcohol. It's fine.
Yeah, it's already clean, right?
Yeah, it
Um,
sterilizes and it cleans. It's fine.
yep. Well, so that's the kind of inception of that. Just kind of making some for my friends, and went from there as like, I can make something out of this, and I really want to pay homage to where it comes from, which is us all playing games together. Otherwise, I would not have gotten into it in the first place.
Mhm.
Um, and for that reason too, I want to I want to find that niche with folks that are interested in um, that sort of community too, because I mean, if I can keep building it, I'm going to, and create even bigger community about coming together, kind of like our parents and our great parents, grandparents before us. They'd go to a
Mhm.
tavern or a bar, and they might have a drink, but it's just to relax after a day of work and sit down and chit chat with their friends. um, but besides those ideals, I mean, the other thing that I want to do with it is find some experimental flavors and directions to go with it. It's hard with the legal definitions you have to have with some of the stuff,
Mhm.
because there's a federal defined meaning for certain spirits. Whether it's whiskey when it comes to grain, anything that's made with a grain can be a whiskey. Anything that's made with a fruit is a brandy. Anything that's made with sugar cane is rum, and vodka can be any of those technically, but it just has to be very neutral in flavor at the end. Um, so that's like just a brief overview of understanding that portion of the nomenclature. But my
Mhm.
first one, I'm still pulling my first real federally approved one and state approved comes through as Dragon Hooch, because the still itself is named Dragon, because you have to name your still. It's one of the things I've learned in some of my
Yeah.
researching for all of it. And most people say it's technically a masculine name, but I've kind of gone off the record there a little bit on that. Uh, and as well, because there's I love multiple meanings of things. Going back to that, when I got the still and had it fabricated in um, and there's nowhere else that builds these things commercially besides China. So I did all of the communication with them. I had worked through all the legal proceedings of importing it and everything in 2024, the year of the dragon from China. So
Right. That's
for their
awesome.
zodiac, yeah. So that's the history of that of the still itself, and the reason why Dragon's Hooch is the first whiskey I've got approved.
I mean, go ahead, Jonathan. I was just gonna say we know
Okay, go.
nothing about. I was gonna say we know nothing about rum. I know I enjoy it, but I don't know what goes into even the creation of it and all of the different things, the different steps that you have to get until you have it in the bottle. So the
Yeah,
what
there's a
you
lot.
have now, the dragons, how many different iterations did you go through before you settled on like this?
Um, Quite a lot. I mean, just in the small batch, because the best thing to do is test it out small. But I also have found that in scaling up, there's going to be changes. So
Mm,
I'll give you a quick rundown of how it works, though. Basically, you start off adding. We'll go with rum because it's actually probably the easiest in my opinion, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going towards it next. I have one that's set up to be released in October. Is going to be the first rum, um, and it's going to be named after the characters from the Good Campaign because it's going to be a clear rum. And they've dubbed themselves the Rum Rollers. So a lot of a lot of joke kind of building up, but it's great. Um, Anyways, so going back to it, you take sugar,
mhm,
whatever sugar you more or less want, but rum specifically is from sugar cane, so it has to be either the sugar cane juice or it can be the refined sugar, but it has to be pure more or less. You can use pure what's the right word for that? Refined sugar, more refined sugar, but it doesn't have a good flavor really. So no one uses that anyways, unless you're just adding it enough a little bit to boost it up. Because what you do after you add sugar, you add hot water, and then you add yeast. And the yeast is probably the most important part. There's a different yeast for almost every single different alcohol out there because
mm,
every single yeast um, is basically a fungus
yep.
and it's pretty fun when it's among us. But you take the yeast and you add it in there, and it starts eating the sugar. And as it eats
Mhm.
the sugar, it excretes uh, alcohol and carbon dioxide. And
Classic
after that,
fermentation.
yeah. So then after you do that, you get it to the percentage that you want of sugars eaten out of it. Hopefully you get 100% if you're lucky. Um, and then you put it in a pot that heats it all up again, the same mixture, and not too hot, but hot enough to get the alcohol turning to steam. And then the steam is forced through an apparatus, generally an alembic still. It's kind of a weird bulbousy shape so that it
Mhm,
kind of works off the pressure. And then in my case, I'm pushing it through something called a column still, which has plates in it that forces that steam up into a point where it condenses again back into a liquid. And some of that condensate's going to be water, some of it's going to be alcohol. So I have 7 plates, so it'll do it on each one of those plates, refining it once every time it goes back up to there to be more pure, and then heading over to a condenser, which is where you're putting cool water through it, basically cold enough to return it back into a liquid, and then collecting and separating it. And that's probably the most important part. I know I just breezed over that, but when you're once it's coming off of the still, there's actually a very important part of taking it and judging whether or not it's a hearts, a heads. I said that backwards. Heads, a hearts, or a tails. Um, and what everybody drinks is the hearts. But if you have something that doesn't taste very good and it's very sharp, it's usually because they didn't take the cut off of the heads soon enough, and they have too much heads in their. That's the, um,
wow.
I don't know, yeah, because there's the what it separates it into is by weight, basically, because the lighter stuff comes off first, the heavier stuff next, and then even heaviest at the end. So the heaviest stuff that's coming off at the end is usually funky and doesn't jive with most people's taste, whereas the heads actually is what most people associate with making them blind. Methanol in the distilling process if you're moonshining. Um,
Yeah.
Little
Wow.
fun fact about that is the treatment for methanol poisoning is alcohol. So
Here, have a little alcohol.
just keep drinking, you'll be fine.
Just keep drinking and you'll be fine. We're gonna quote that. That'll
Yeah, we're changing.
that's the title of our
Just
podcast.
keep
Just keep
swimming.
drinking.
Just keep drinking.
Perfect.
It's like
That's wild.
you explain that, and I'm like, well, who's the first guy to figure all this out? Like,
All
who's the guy
the
sitting
layers,
around
yeah.
like, you know what we need is to turn this into a vapor and
All
then
those
turn it back into a liquid. That's
all
all.
those stills, all those stills in the Carolinas and Appalachian.
Not to turn myself into too much of a nerd, but when I was doing the research for some of it,
Too late.
there isn't a name for who came up with it first, but they know for a fact it happened back in almost as late as or early, I guess, yeah, early as the like 5000 BC era, around the times that they were coming out with beer, because it was the same problem, right? Which is the reason why they came up with beer. They were trying to find ways to make safe drinking water and
Mm-hmm.
things that you can drink safely. And they basically just, were like, well, what's the one way we know how to, you know, make things safe to drink again? Well, we'll heat it up. And I was like, well, in heating it up, we're losing something here because it doesn't taste the same. Well, maybe if we can cap it and put something on it, we can collect the spirits off of it, the essence of the drink,
Excellent.
and that's what we can drink. And that's where the name spirits comes from, is like an old Middle Eastern it wouldn't have been Middle Eastern at the time, but I forget where they're saying I'd seen some of the first stills being found, but they were all copper as well too. So it was during bronze and copper era that they're
Yeah,
coming out with these. It's fascinating stuff.
It's
it's
fascinating.
crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I don't you drink these things, rum, beer, mead, wine, whatever it is, and it's in the glass, and it's not often that I think most people think about the process that goes into actually making what's in your glass or in your stein. And that's incredible. And you just started doing this because you wanted to have something to share with your players and your tables, right? At your table.
Yep.
Did you think it would
Yeah.
be this complex after all the research and whatever else you had to do to get this still to where you are in Ohio?
Um, I think the most important thing to keep in mind with anything that's complex is that it's actually a saying that I picked up from a philosopher, Alan Watts. If you're familiar with him or not, I'm
Hmm.
not sure. But he says, "Don't worry about all the dishes in your sink. Know that you only have to wash one dish at a time, and so you'll only ever have to wash one dish."
Yep, that's
And
true.
so in that same vein of things, I was trying, and I think I succeeded so far at least, that I've not been letting myself get overwhelmed in that whole process and doing everything else that I love doing, because I know that all I'm doing is the only thing that I have to do at that time, because everything else, it'll come, because everything comes with time. You'll get the next dish eventually, and you'll still only be washing that one dish. So it's it's kind of a Zen-like mindset that you need to
Yeah.
do some of those, all that stuff, I guess.
I mean, for me, the important question is like, how delicious is this rum? Are you excited about it? Does
Oh,
it taste good? Are you proud of it? I hope, because it seems
I'm
like a
I'm
tremendous amount of work to get it from the distill into the bottle and the whole process.
yes, yeah, and then on top of that, there's one other thing that's even on top of that layer that I was talking about for your whiskeys and bourbons and even some of the rums, that barrel aging. So that
I
one's pretty simple, but you put it in a barrel. It usually has to be fresh barrel. You can sometimes use an older barrel if it has some other seasonings in it, like from another wine cast or another bourbon, like if you're mixing and matching some of that, but generally has to be fresh so that because what it's doing is it's extracting the wood sugars as it sits there. Um, uh, but your question was,
if you like it,
am I,
like,
if
is
I
it
like it?
delicious? Are you
Yes,
proud of it? Yeah.
absolutely.
Good.
My mind was wandering again there because the first thing I thought of when you were saying that is actually, I had my fiance try it when I first got it all approved, and we were enjoying it. And she's not a whiskey drinker. She'll try it because I'm like, can you please try this? Pretty please, please. I'm proud of it, and I think it's good. And then
Jonathan did that with me in Dungeons and Dragons. He was like, "Can't you just play? Can you just play, please? Please, I like this. Can you also kind of like this? Just pretend."
and
Yeah.
she tried it, and then she's, wow, that is pretty good. You should try to market this to women actually, and say it's whiskey so good your wife will like it.
I actually like whiskeys. I love bourbon.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing that I didn't want to get caught in a catch-22 because I know plenty of women that love whiskey and such, so I just know that she doesn't. So,
I mean,
um,
Jonathan, you like rum, but I think you like rum in like
It's
a pina
great.
colada,
I
kind
don't
of
know.
like
I don't know
frozen.
if I like. Yeah, see, and there's the caveat. I like sugar, so it's not the alcohol that is tempting to me. It's
He's
the
elf.
sugar.
Is there sugar and maple
Yeah,
syrup? Then yes.
and
Yeah.
that's a good one that I've yet to try. I've seen a couple people do though, is distilling and fermenting maple syrup. That's a whole nother challenge in
Ooh,
itself. Yeah,
that'll be
and
your
it comes
next
out.
adventure.
Yeah.
So do you have this bottled? Do you have
Yep.
plans, I mean, to sell it in Ohio? I know
Yep.
there's always issues with selling and, shipping and everything
statewide.
different. Yes, yeah. Is it just
Yeah.
something that you
So
can only find in Ohio? Do you have to drive out there to get some?
right now, I've only figured out how to keep it in Ohio, unfortunately, because again, like you're saying, the regulations
Yeah.
that are around surrounding it, unfortunately, I'm not so sure some of the ones that are selling whiskeys and bourbons and such online are doing it fully legitimately, just because sometimes you can just put something in a box and put it in the post
Mhm.
office and nobody asks any questions. But if you get caught doing that, that's where the trouble comes in. But anyways, so I'm going to try and avoid that because I don't want to get
Mhm.
myself
All that
shut down
hard
for
work.
doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if I find a way, I will definitely let you know. Otherwise, if you're in and around the Wheeling, West Virginia, right on the border on the other side, called Rayland, a little town, that you can get a bottle here, and that's where everything new is coming out. So there might be some stuff that's exclusive only there. But I'm shortly going to be able to send it to their distribution and have it in a few local stores, and hopefully keep growing from there.
That's very cool. That's super exciting. And do your players at your table, or are they just like thrilled that now you have like your own rum that you can bring to the table?
Oh yeah, yeah, fully legitimate rum this time now too.
Right.
And as well as they've got their say in it too. When I was coming up with the naming for some of the stuff, like the Rum Rollers rum, I was like, all right, I'm starting on a rum. How do you guys want to handle this? I know you guys are pretty invested in this one. So, the next one that's coming out after the Rum Rollers rum is eventually a Shadow Seekers rum, which is the group name in the Evil campaign, is what they've dubbed themselves and such. And it'll be a dark rum.
Yeah.
Dark rums are good.
Yeah.
That's that's really cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be exciting to see how, your business grows and hopefully being able to ship across state lines because it's you play Dungeons and Dragons, almost always someone has a beer or
Mhm.
a glass of wine. I know our DM has even brought wine that like ties into the story. Like we go in a tavern and his NPC or whoever it is pours us wine and he actually gives us little cups while we're playing. And I think that just adds to a lot of the experience and fun on your table when you're in those situations. So it'll be cool if you can start
Yeah.
shipping
Yeah,
and
that
get
would
it out
be
to some tables.
that would be really an excellent goal to shoot for, and I'm glad you bring my attention to it again because you can see my attention is as erratic as a squirrel in a nut factory. So, but the that is a great point. One of the things besides that I hope to express with it too is because I'm doing everything when it comes to it. What I what I would really love is finding someone that is interested enough to collaborate on creating something that is campaign specific or, from their imaginations because it needs to fit this setting and they want to create a custom liquor for that or something. That would be something that I'd love, like absolutely love doing. That'd be the dream.
That'd be cool. Well, I mean, we've said time and again, and everyone that we've had on the podcast, and Josh, you and I, and the creators group that we're in, this community is so willing to share and connect you with people and help you out. And I'm sure there is someone absolutely that would love to do some sort of collaboration with you because that is, I think, a really cool thing, especially if you are making it, D&D. It's not like you just named it after something that had to do with Dungeons and Dragons because there was a niche for it. Like this is what
Right.
you do and what you enjoy, and you started it with a purpose.
Yep.
I
Indeed.
love it. So where can everyone find you now? Just let the people know where they can find your spirits.
Right now, it's really only at the distillery, as I was mentioning there in
Mm-hmm.
Rayland, Ohio. And I've got links to it on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. What else is there nowadays? Blue Sky. I can't keep track of them all.
All the
We're on
platforms.
yeah, pretty much all of the platforms. And on those platforms, you can find our link tree that has all different links. It has some also specialty links in there if you're interested in a couple dice from Only Crits. There's a couple, um, you know, s- price saver features there from us that we've sought out to do some collabs, shot some videos for them, and work with them on some different things, and from some other folks. But um, hopefully it'll be in stores at the and that's something I don't want to get too much into, but it's Ohio is a control state is what it's called. So they
Mhm.
have their liquor only comes through two distribution centers in all of Ohio. So it has to go there before it goes anywhere else. And they're both of them are like 2.5 hours away from me. So figuring that out will be my next big hurdle. For sure, trying to get that.
There has to be a nerd that works at one of those locations. We have to have an
Yeah,
in somewhere with the nerd community.
yeah, that'd be great.
Just casually call them one day and start throwing out some D&D terms and see if anyone bites at it.
Yeah, see if they
So
want to
so
come play some D&D.
exactly, do some sort of like, sly exchange and be like, "Hey, do you want to like play on our table and maybe get my rum in?"
Yeah.
But we so everyone can find you and it's Rum Propelled Gaming on all of the handles, correct?
Yes, that's where the whole name will be. The handle I think actually they made me shorten it to something like propelled
Mhm.
gaming or something like that. But um, all of them are related to that handle. So Run Propelled Gaming will get you there.
Rum Propelled Gaming on Instagram.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, Josh, before we wrap up, we're going to do a couple rapid fire questions, but I just want to thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
We absolutely love connecting with people, and it's so nice to, after long periods of time of talking on social media, to actually see someone's face and chat with them about all things D&D and nerdy and some rum. So thank you so much for chatting with Jonathan and me on our
It's
podcast. We appreciate it.
absolutely my pleasure. You guys are great conversationalists, and I'd love to have either of you at my table.
we would do it. We're not that far away. We're in New York. It's there's cars. We can drive. We can get there. We can do it. We've been meeting, all these people all over, and we're always like, one day we'll meet you at like a con, and we'll go out afterwards and hang out, or we'll roll some dice together, or it'll happen.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. That'd be great. Or otherwise, you're definitely welcome on our podcast as our virtual table. So,
Yeah,
um,
we would love to. We love being on podcasts and
yeah.
playing games. I just did a one shot recently with someone that I think might be in our creator group, and I had no idea they also lived in New York, not that far away from where we are. So that was cool. All these little connections.
It's
But
cool.
before we wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions for you if you'd like to participate.
Fire away.
So the first one is, if your distillery were a tavern in a fantasy world, what would it be called, and what's the signature drink on the menu?
I love this question. I think about this a lot. Um,
I had no idea.
yeah, I'm sure you're familiar at least with the common trope that there's got to be a tavern within every session, or at least every other session,
You have to.
usually. Um, and I've created so many fun tavern names. The one that still sticks in my heart, though, is one that I just came up with on a whim called, it's probably one of the first ones too, is Hooch and Pooch. Um, and it was because they were dogs that they were hellhounds actually that would come out and serve orders and such. And if you needed something to go to, there was a whistle you could blow, and they'd appear and bring your order while you're on the go. Um,
That's amazing.
and uh, it is even harder to ask the question of what would be the signature drink, because
Mm.
I have so many ideas all the time, and
I mean, it has to involve
every
your RPG rum, right?
I don't know. See,
No? Oh,
there's so many options. That's the trouble with it all, you know? How do you choose? And I can feel that, especially for somebody that's just turning 21, and you're going out and you're looking at all the options that we have nowadays. We're living in a golden age of just what you
all
have
the
for a
booze you could
selection.
ever want. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably actually have to go with something that I'm working on with another collaboration for a brewery just down the road. We just finished, excuse me, we just finished creating something rather unique and interesting. They did an imperial stout, and
Nice.
it had turned a little off for them, which is not a problem for the distillation process, because you put something in like that, it kills off whatever was making that off flavor, and usually almost 90% of the time will disappear at the end of the distillation process. And so now it almost, without any aging or anything like that, tastes like a dessert cocktail without any additives. Like a
That could be
chocolatey kind of uh little bit of coffee notes because of the
nice.
the all of the grains that they put in it. The grain bill was as long as my arm. Um
That
it
could
was
that could be a really nice item to have on a menu. A
yeah.
little dessert. I like it. That sounds delicious. What if you had one genre of music to listen to for the rest of your life? What would that genre of music be?
EDM.
All right, I like it.
No
That
hesitation.
that's it. Josh is listening to EDM from here on out. Uh, is there a TV show, a TV show that maybe you became a fan of after it was really popular and you just been binge watched?
Mm, I I will have to say, because it's on the other screen over there, is Big Bang Theory. I'd I'd always washed it away because I was a nerd, and I was like, this feels like whitewashing for nerds. I don't want to watch this. And as I've gotten older and gotten back into it, I'm like, okay, no, they did it. Did that genre of nerd justice. They were
Yeah.
physicists. I have a friend that's on the podcast. She's a physicist, and she's not obviously like any of these characters on that TV
But
show.
they did their research.
They did. They
It's
definitely
accurate.
did.
I like it. Okay, last question. Do you pour your cereal before milk or milk before your cereal? I know, we ask the hard-hitting questions here at Parking Lot Podcast.
Am I a heathen to say that I don't use milk? I use water.
Use water. I like it. Okay. No,
Yeah,
that's not a heathen.
I don't know what it is.
I thought you were gonna say you just go like hardcore and just spoonfuls right out of the box, and I was like, that is impressive. Like you just raw dog that cereal right out of the box.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either, honestly, but sometimes that little bit of wetness is necessary just to get it down.
Right.
But
Right. Like Joey Chestnut with the hot dogs. He has to dunk it a little bit to get them down.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah,
we lost Josh with the Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We're in New York. I had to bring up Coney Island and hot dogs. I don't know. That's immediately what I thought. We just have to dunk it. Yeah, we asked the hard questions. We've also asked questions like, pineapple on your pizza. Is that good? Is that bad? That's a hot topic.
Go either way on that. I'll throw you one even wilder. It's something that they do in Germany when I was over there that I really loved is they put tuna on pizza, like out of the can, tuna.
Never tried
tuna.
I
mean,
love the expressions.
They do. They do. I mean, I am a huge fan of all tinned fish. Like I'm down with some tinned fish. I love sardines. I love anchovies, and I like a good pizza. So I'd try it.
It's good. It's really good.
Jonathan, next pizza, I'm getting out a can, tinned fish, plop it right on top. Josh is giving us the ideas. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to post about it. And it'll probably be disgusting, but I'm going to do it anyway. Well, Josh, thank you so much for giving us ideas on our culinary adventures the next time we order pizza. I appreciate it. It's been a blast chatting with you and learning about your distillery, and we're so excited to support you and see where this whole adventure goes, and hoping that we'll get to try some soon and bring it to our table. So thank you. And again, you can find Josh on all of the platforms at what is the handle, Josh?
Rum Propelled Gaming.
Rum Propelled Gaming. All right. For everyone that's in Ohio, go find Josh and buy some delicious rum. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate having you on tonight. And don't forget to follow Josh, show him all the love, and go buy some rum. And while you're looking for rum from Raylan, Ohio, don't forget to head over to eldritch-foundry.com to create your very own custom colored minis and check out their new bust mode. When your creation gets the spotlight, it deserves a little bit more because some faces deserve to be bigger than life. So check out eldritch-foundry.com. You can use our cheat code cheesebags15 to save on your next order. Thank you so much for hopping on our podcast today, Josh. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all the things, hit the bell so that you can be notified when a new episode drops on YouTube. Until then, stay legendary, everyone.